Welcome to Geek on Film with your host, Robbie Holmes. Welcome to episode 12 of Geek on Film. I'm Robbie Holmes. This week's main review is Monkey Man, but before we get there, we're going to cover 5 other films I watched this week. Yep, 5. It was interesting because my mother was staying with me, so it was trying to balance movies that my mother, possibly my mother-in-law, and my wife and I would all be willing to watch. So that definitely influenced some of the stuff that we watched this week. The first film was Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. This is a movie that my mother requested to watch. Let's go with the IMDb summary of this film. Black Mantis seeks revenge on Aquaman for his father's death. Wielding the Black Trident's power, he becomes a formidable foe. To defend Atlantis, Aquaman forges an alliance with his imprisoned brother. They must protect the kingdom. Okay, so this movie was written by David Leslie, Johnson McGildrick, James Wan, and Jason Momoa, and it was directed by James Wan. We have Jason Momoa back as Arthur. We have Patrick Wilson back as Orm. We have Yahya Abdul Mateen II as Black Manta. Amber Heard as Mira. Let's keep going. Nicole Kidman's back as Atlanta. You've got Randall Park spending a lot of time in this movie as Dr. Shin. Tamora Morrison is back as Tom. Dolph Lundgren's here. Martin Short. Johnny Zane. It's crazy how many people are in these movies and how bad they are. I don't really like to review movies just to give a negative review, but this movie absolutely teeters back and forth between looking like something that fell directly out of a comic book, like beautiful pages, and then it falls into sequences where like we're watching Aquaman climb the side of a mountain and it looked like it was like a first year animation studios rendering. Like they just didn't give it enough passes. It really is amazing how bad this film is. I don't want to spend a ton of time on it. This is a movie that I'm really glad is the sort of last one for this hurrah of this version of the DC universe. I really love DC comics. I love the stories that are based around these characters. This was such a disappointment, and I really just could not believe the things that we were seeing, the actors that were doing it, and just how overall it just doesn't hold together, and how bad I felt like this movie was. There's so many good actors here that are so unbelievably wasted doing what this movie is doing. I'm a big believer in big dumb popcorn movies, and I feel like the first one of these was actually better. I enjoyed it a lot more. This movie, I can't get over it. I can't imagine ever revisiting this film. So I'm going to stop it there. I watched it over on Max, and I think if you've got a couple hours that you really don't care whether or not you get anything out of it, go watch this movie. Next up was a rewatch for me. Of course, it's one of my favorite films of all time. I'm just going to mention it in passing. My mother had never seen The Social Network and asked me about it when I was talking about movies I had on 4K Blu-ray or that I wished I had on 4K Blu-ray. And she was like, I've never seen The Social Network. I was like, oh, it's in my top 4 favorite films of all time. If you haven't heard me talk about The Social Network, I don't know where you've been. You probably haven't been listening from the very beginning because it's a movie I've watched and revisited and reappraised multiple times already. The quick summary is, as a Harvard student, Mark Zuckerberg creates a social networking site that would become known as Facebook. He is sued by the twins who claim that he stole the idea and the co-founder who was later squeezed out of the business. This is one of my favorite films of all time. The writers of this are Aaron Sorkin and Ben Mezerich, and it's directed by David Fincher. You've got Eisenberg here playing Zuckerberg, Andrew Garfield as Eduardo Saverin, his partner and co-founder, Justin Timberlake playing Sean Parker. You've got an early sighting of Rooney Mara in this film, and the Winklevoss twins are played by Armie Hammer. This movie is fantastic. There's so much going on here. It's so enjoyable. It's some of the most crisp dialogue. It's taking things like writing code and turning it into an action adventure film. It is two creators at the high point of what they do, and Sorkin and Fincher. And I wish they would do more films together. They really seem to bring out the best in one another. So that's it. Go watch Social Network if you haven't. If you haven't, I don't know how you've gotten here without get me influencing you to watch it up to this point. But let me just say, it's on Max right now, so go watch it. It's pretty awesome. The next one's one I've been waiting to watch. I've seen the trailer a bunch of different times, and I pitched it to the family. It's the she came to me. She came to me. So this is the our friends at IMDb have this as a summary for the film: is a composer who suffers writer's block rediscovers his passion after an adventurous one night stand. This film was written and directed by Rebecca Miller. The opera composer is played by Peter Dinklage. His name is Stephen Latham. And his wife in this film is played by Anne Hathaway. She's a therapist who started out as his therapist. And then you've got his inspiration is the tugboat captain, Marissa Tomei, who plays Katrina Trento. And then you've just got so many other fun character actors and actors in here that really round out this movie and make it feel real. I mean, there's a Judy Gold sighting in this film. It's a blast. I absolutely loved this film. And it was like a universal love. Everybody at my house was completely on board with this movie. My mother said it may be the best movie she's seen this year, or maybe the best movie she'll see all year. My wife started talking about the Oscars immediately. I was just really impressed. It's such a solid, interesting, romantic comedy with its own adventure swing. And it's a blast. Peter Dinklage rules. He's so good in this movie. Anne Hathaway is playing a really uptight therapist, is fantastic. Marissa Tomei as this sort of kind of off the walls, a little bit out of society tugboat captain is wonderful. I was predisposed to love this movie. These are all actors I really care about, but I am so impressed what was created here. It's so much fun. This one was on Hulu. So if you have a chance, go see it. I gave it a really solid 4 out of 5 stars. I think I started at 3.5 and then kept thinking about it and kept talking about it with my family. And it stuck with me. It's really, really good. And it's fun. It's lighthearted. It's sweet. It's caring. It's really great. I also don't want to short shrift the younger actors that are playing in this almost like Romeo and Juliet style story. You've got Julian Jessup being played by Evan Ellison, who is the son of Anne Hathaway and the stepson of Peter Dinklage's character. And then you've got Harlow Jane playing Teresa, and she is the daughter of Magdalena, played by Joanna Kulig. And then her adopted father is played by Brian Darcy James, Trey Ruffa. They just really round out and make this movie feel full and rich, and their story allows other people to be romantic and care about one another. I'm going to stop gushing about this film now. Go watch it. It's really great. I think you'll enjoy it. Next up for me is How to Have Sex. This movie premiered last year at the Cannes Film Festival and has been creating a buzz ever since then. Over on IMDb, the summary is 3 British teenage girls go on a rites of passage holiday, drinking, clubbing, and hooking up in what should be the best summer of their lives. This is written and directed by Molly Manning Walker. And this film is unbelievably moving. It is traumatic. It is tense. It had me on edge almost from the opening sequence of these young women arriving in Greece. And it's just sort of, you're waiting for something bad to happen from the very beginning. And it's not just that that where this is going or what has been alluded to in the trailer, but it's also the way the film is shot. It's so ominous. Every aspect of what's going on in this film feels right there on the edge of like, this is faux excitement. This is faux fun that is being had because of peer pressure, because of expectations, because of all kinds of things. And this is an extremely moving film. I watched it. I had to pause a couple of times so I could take a breath and give my body a chance to sort of let the tension release. If I had seen this in a theater, I think I would have been even more uncomfortable, because at least at home I watched it on Mubi and I was able to sort of pause and take a breath and regroup a little bit and try really hard to let go some of what I was feeling. But if I was locked in a movie theater for the entire film, I feel like uh, I would have really felt this even more, probably to its benefit as a film. But I'm walking away from this film, and it's like a four and a quarter star film for me. It's really unbelievable. I cannot believe what is pulled off in this movie. And there are some shots in this film. There's always a sort of jokey walk of shame that you see in a lot of like rom-commy type films. There's a walk of shame in this movie that will never leave my brain. People joke about there are things that live rent free in your head. This movie has some of the most harrowing, like quiet moment scenes that I will be thinking about forever. Let's just take a quick note of the actors that are a part of this. The woman who is the anchor for all of this is Mia McKenna Bryce. She plays Tara. She is unreal. This movie really hinges on whether or not you are bought into her young, sort of impressionable, exuberant, excited nature. And she has this sort of cherub like nature that comes through in the way that she looks. She's like very she's so vibrant when you meet her at the very beginning. She's the focal point of her friend group. She's driving them when it's just the three girls. And it's so interesting to see where it goes from there, and how imposter syndrome, or how peer pressure, or just being expectations of drinking, of drugs, of sex, of all of these things like erode her confidence. And the other two friends are Sky, who's played by Laura Peak. That woman deserves awards for being one of the most unlikable characters I've seen in a long time. She's amazing. The actress does a great job with a terrible character who is constantly like picking at Tara's insecurities and is claiming she's doing it as a friend and is doing it in a playful manner. And she's just constantly eroding Tara's like physical or mental fortitudes against her worry. And then the other friend in this is M, played by Enva Lewis, and she's great. All three of these women should have been nominated for awards, and I know at Cannes, Mia McKenna Bruce was nominated for actress, and they are so good. They're amazing together. You can see this sort of comfort and ease they have with one another, with their roles in this group, where Tara can be the sort of center of attention when it's just the girls, and she can be the one who's driving all of the fun. She's outgoing, she's pushing things. And then when it comes into the more comfort area of Sky, which is with other people and with like boys their age, Sky is super confident, and Tara pulls back for sure. And M, I believe, she's definitely bisexual, and in this film, I think she's very comfortable in the role of either a lesbian at this point in her life, or maybe she's about to become and embrace who she is. What an amazing trio, and I cannot get over how fully realized these characters are that we get to spend this time with. The next area over from where they are on their patios, there are three people staying in that room. You've got Patty, who's played by Samuel Bottomley. You've got Badger, played by Sean Thomas, and Paige, played by Laura Ambler. This is the sort of the juxtaposition of these two groups. Patty looks like this clean-cut kid and is very much not a good person. Badger looks a little bit like he's a rough and tumble kid. He's got a bunch of tattoos and dyed hair in a couple of places, and he seemingly is a more good person. And then Paige is playing a character who is falling for M throughout this entire process. I don't know. This is a film I want to see many times, but it is a film we should all see at least once. I was completely blown away by this movie. I don't know that my heart rate ever lowered while I was watching it. You spend this entire film waiting for bad things to happen to Tara, and they do. And in the end, it is so sad that these bad things happen while she's in proximity to her friends, or because of actions that happen around her, and things that just happen, where someone thinks they're having fun and they go off to do to be a part of another thing, and it hurts the feelings of this person. They're then isolated, and there's always predators in these kind of spaces. And this movie really shows that. I really think everybody should see this film. Again, I saw it on Mubi. If you don't have Mubi, you should think about it as a service. I really love it. Okay. Next up for me was a surprise. Last night, my wife and I took a breath. We were trying to figure out what we were going to watch, and with the trailer for Girl State being out, I had never seen the movie Boy State. And this is something that my wife actually knew about. I didn't even know these things existed. So Boy State is a film that was on, and that is on Apple TV Plus right now. Here's the summary from IMDb. It's 1,017-year-old boys from Texas joined together to build a representative government from the ground up. This movie is directed by Amanda McBain and Jesse Moss. This documentary premiered at the Sundance Film Festival in 2020. It won the U.S. Documentary Competition Grand Jury Prize. And I have retroactively gone back and added it as probably my second favorite film of 2021. This movie is astounding. So the premise is that there are two different political wings. There's the Federalists and the Nationalists. And you're bifurcated across this group of boys. There are, I think it's like 600 on each side. There's 1,200 boys here. And you have to basically create a government from the ground up. And the highest position is governor, like it's a state. And each of the parties has to have a party chair, and they have to have Supreme Court justice, and they have to have an attorney general. And so they didn't get into every position that's going to be in this government, but we followed basically 4 boys' stories: Ben Feinstein, Stephen Garza, Robert McDougall, and Renee Otero. And it's one of the most interesting, thought-provoking, scary documentaries I've seen in a while. And all the stuff that takes place in the individual interviews, like the confessional style interviews from other reality shows, are really moving. You get to see the inside thought process of some of the choices that are being made. And sometimes they say the inside words on the outside, and that is really amazing. You should watch this movie. I don't really want to say much about any of this. It is one of the most amazing things that I've ever sat down to watch. And I wish it was on my radar and I would have talked about it more in the first year of Geek on Film. It is one of those things that I think we should all pay attention to, because this is how lots of people get their first exposure to becoming politicians. Sometimes it's like these kids who are a little bit political junkies. For other people, this might look like a good thing to put on your college application. But it is a place where you can understand and learn a little bit, I think, about how our modern political system works and how bifurcated it is, and how it's us versus them and that mentality. And organizations like this may be the reason, maybe one of the places that we're creating those underpinnings for the future politicians of America. I can't wait to watch Girl State. That's the next one up for me and my wife. It's literally probably going to be watched this weekend, because we came out of Boy State really surprised. And my wife even knew about these types of organizations. She said that when she was a kid, she actually wanted to attend one of these. And I didn't even know it existed. I didn't know what it was. That's it. I'm not going to talk any more about this. Apple TV Plus, go check it out. My main review this week is of Monkey Man. According to IMDb, this synopsis is: an anonymous young man unleashes a campaign of vengeance against the corrupt leaders who murdered his mother and continue to systematically victimize the poor and the powerless. This movie was written by Dev Patel, Paul Agwandawala, and John Calais, and it was directed by Dev Patel. This is a hat trick for Dev. He wrote it, he directed it, and he stars in it. He is the singular component of this film. He is like on the poster. He's in it almost every frame of this movie. This is Dev Patel's show. So we open up with this movie has these underground fights happening. Charlito Copley is Tiger, who runs these underground fights. You've got Dev Patel fighting a couple of different people. He fights as the Monkey Man, as a man under a monkey mask, and that is sort of just a premise for showing that he can take a beating mostly. There are aspects of it that come into play later in the movie. We find out more and more throughout the film that his mother was killed as part of a clearing out of an area by corrupt cops who were making way for corrupt politicians and religious figures to take over these spaces to make capitalistic endeavors into these places where the poor and the unhomed can no longer live. Or it's a pretty insane film. I could not get over how well it was shot, how much of the story so I'm gonna say I think overall this movie for me was like a 3.5 star film. I think this movie is going to be unfairly compared to John Wick. It even references John Wick in the movie. I think John Wick is so much more about guns and fighting and interleaving that into some kinds of hand to hand combat. And this movie feels a lot more influenced by movies like The Raid or Old Boy, sort of vengeance stories with much more physical hand to hand combat. There's some shots in this movie that I think are really unique and different. There's a whole sequence where Dev Patel's character, the kid, is fighting someone in a brothel, like a low end brothel, and the guy is swinging an axe at him. And these shots are unreal. Like the axe is swinging within, an inch of his face and hitting the wall. And it really just is, it's breathtaking what is pulled off. I think the movie has some spots that sort of lag a little bit in its pacing. And I think anybody else for a first time filmmaker may have chosen an easier film to make or a less complicated film. This is a combination of like a action adventure, like up close fighting film, and a story about oppression, and also a story of political and religious overreach into the lower classes of a society. And also some of it is the religious aspects of the story he's telling and who he's being influenced by. And I think there's just so many pieces of this going on that I think there's probably a tighter version of this movie that feels like it doesn't lag as much, but it also doesn't have as many influences or hits on as many things that I think Dev Patel wanted to tell us about. So I don't begrudge him. I think for a first time filmmaker, this has so much maturity in the way that it is able to hold together. And it's also gone through a few back and forths. It was originally supposed to be a Netflix film. It was going to be canceled and shelved. It was saved from that, apparently through the Monkey Paw label by Jordan Peele. So, there's a lot that has gone on in this film. It feels very heavily edited. There's a lot of cross cutting and tight cuts in a lot of these fight sequences. And there are also sequences that feel like they may be missing a little context. Maybe there's something taking it out of the film to try to shorten it up for distribution. So it is a pretty unbelievable film. It has an amazing set of fight sequences, and it also has really unreal casting. I think you've got, you've got Dev Patel playing Kid, you've got Charlton Copley playing Tiger, you have Pito Bash playing Alfonso, and he is sort of like the low-level drug dealer who's insinuated himself into this high-end club world and brothel, super high-end brothel. And then, like the policeman who's the head of the police is played by Sikandar Kar, and he plays Rana, and he is like devilishly handsome and intimidating, and he's like a physical figure. Dev Patel cuts this extremely lean, muscular figure, and there's a sequence where he ends up fighting Rana, and it is really unreal watching the differentiation between the two body types and how the destruction that Rana can give in one punch or one move. you have unreal actors who are playing really important characters. Nella is played by Aditha Kalkunta, and Sita is played by Sobahito Dalipala. And then, Queenie, who runs everything, is played by Ashwani Kalsakar, and she is brutal. She's so mean. And then there's a whole sect of religion that you get introduced to that saves his life, and that is played. Those characters are played and brought to life by Makhandri Deshpande, who plays Bobby Shakri, and then you've got the amazing Zakir Hussain playing tabla maestro, who is playing the drums in this movie, and it is used as a way to like help Dev Patel's character, the kid, learn how to fight more effectively, to be in rhythm with what he's doing. It's a really unreal film. I really loved it. I think for me, I think it's like a 3.5-star film overall because of pacing issues and because of over complicated story. But I think my emotional walk away from this film was like, heck yeah, man. I want more Dev Patel. I want more films made by this man. I want him starring in more films. He is a star and he knows it. There's a sequence where he's learning how to fight and he's punching a rice bag and he's sweating and he eventually takes off his shirt and everybody howls. He knows what he's got and he's using it in this film. And he makes us all believe in him. That's the thing. Like, he starts out as this like underdog monkey man and is broken down by being overzealous and not ready for the fight. And then he builds back up. It's a perfect montage of training. And in that montage, we get everything we want to see Dev Patel come out stronger. It's pretty unreal. And there's some extremely memorable fight sequences in that third act. I think you should go see it. It's currently in theaters. Do yourself a favor, see it in a theater that has really good sound. I think the sound editing, the mixing, and the soundscapes are really good. There's a couple of on-the-nose needle drops that are really fun, but I think there's the juxtaposition of like a Bollywood-style track during a fight sequence that feels like the fight is the dance is really unreal in this movie. Yeah, I don't know that I can be more excited for other people to see this movie, but I think if you have a chance before it leaves theaters, you should go see it in a dark theater with good sound. That's it for me this week. I'm so excited. Tonight, I'm going to see Civil War with my wife. Expect my next review, hopefully next week. And I look forward to talking to you then. I'm Robbie the Geek everywhere online. We're Geek on Film.com. I'm over on Letterboxd. So please, rate, review this podcast if you can. Share it with your friends. If you'd like to talk to me, feel free to hit me up online. Feel free to comment on our question and answer through Spotify. We're everywhere. And I look forward to talking to you next week about the super intense Civil War. Have a great day. Bye-bye. This has been a Geek on Film podcast. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.